O come ye to Bethlehem. Come and behold him, born the King of ages. O come, let us adore him. O come, let us adore him. O come, let us adore him, Christ the Lord.
Well, welcome everybody. This is the first of our midweek message series for Advent 2024, and we're calling this midweek series, What is in a Name? As you know, we're looking during worship at the different names for the coming Savior in Isaiah: Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. And to partner together with that, we're going to hear from different members of our church community about their names, about names that they might use or images they might have for God. And then we'll end these midweek messages with a favorite Christmas carol. And the first person to join me in all of this is our much loved brother, Lee Longell. So Lee,
hello, everybody.
Thank you for jumping in.
Privilege.
So most of us call you Lee,
Right.
but your given name is
Leland.
Leland.
Right.
So tell us a little bit about your name.
I don't know where having L as my last name for Longell. My mother got this thing in her head years ago when my sister was born that she was going to name all three of her kids with 3 L's as our initials. So my sister was the first one born, and she was Linda Lee Longell. And then 2 years later, my brother was born, and he was Leslie Lyle Longell. And then 2 years after that, I was born, Leland L. Longell, but Leland Lance Longell. So it's interesting, it was always that way that my mother and everybody kind of got to the point they called my brother Les, and I was Lee. So it was always, the way it was. And when people hear that and they spell my name, Leland is spelled with just Leland, but Lee is goes Lee. So that gets a little confusing at times. But anyway, and then when we started, Jordan and I started having a family, my mother said, "You're going to carry the tradition, right?" And we're like, "No, there's not enough good L names
to go around here."
And my grandmother gave me saved my life before I was born. No, saved my name before I was born, because my brother is Leslie Lyle Longell, Leslie, which can be mistaken for either sex. So when my mother was choosing the name, she thought Lorne Lloyd would be a good name. And Lorne,
for you.
Lorne, like Lorne Green, Loren. And my grandmother looked at her and says, "You can't do another one that could be confused for a woman." And my brother to this day gets mail, obviously junk mail, addressed to him to Ms. Leslie Longell. And he gets a little frustrated with that. But anyway, that's just fun for me to laugh at. But anyway.
That sounds like a younger brother.
So there's not a lot of L names. And then my sister got married, messed it all up and married a Swackhammer.
Okay.
So she blew it there. But anyway, so that's where my name really came from. These triple L's.
Yeah. Does anyone call you Leland?
Oh yes. Especially my closest cousin, who you've met, been in the sanctuary a few times. His second cousin, actually. His mother and my father were cousins, and I was in those groups of the family. I was Leland, and to this day they call me Leland.
Okay.
So that's fine. That is my name. So
Yeah. Yeah.
But if somebody calls on the phone and they ask for Leland Longell, they're selling me something. So they don't know me or whatever, because the G in Longell is a French G because it's a French name. So it's pronounced like George or a name like that. So,
okay.
But, so I have to constantly correct people on that one.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if if anyone around here decides to go formal with you and call you Leland from now on. Lee, as you think about, as I mentioned, we're talking about these different names that we have in mind for the Messiah from Isaiah's prophecy. As you think about your own journey of faith, about your relationship with God, about your following after Jesus, are there any particular names for God, or particular images, or particular names for Jesus that you find yourself returning to time and again?
Especially when I pray or whatever, I tend to really go with the Lord because he was, he was the messenger of the Lord, and so it's kind of, as we know, it's kind of combined,
Right.
So Lord sounds, I don't know, more comfortable for me when I pray or when I experience things like that. So, and also because it's an L. No. No, because I really, seriously, that's what I feel, and I've been through so many different experiences in my life that name comes first in mind when I pray to the Lord, so.
The idea of lordship, of someone who is in control.
Yeah, yes, basically, because that's who I go to for that support that I need even when I'm alone. I tend to do most of my praying, as some people may too, in my car while I'm driving,
Yeah. Eyes open.
Yes,
Yeah.
of course. Yes, not the normal pose. But yeah, and because that's the time when I really think things out, and I always keep a pad by me in the car. Not that I write them down right then and there, but before I forget about it when I park. I'm a person that just writes notes because I think of these things at the strangest time. In the middle of the night, there's a night table. You write your note, your thing on. But and I do, I just do believe that there's a lot of different ways we all pray and we all think about things, but not everybody can pray out loud to a group, which I can do, even if I flub the words, but I still feel that, verbalizing something that's in you is the best way to express it.
Right.
So, yeah.
And then we're asking folks if they might share with us about a favorite Christmas hymn or Christmas carol. And you shared with me before we recorded what your favorite one was, and a funny story related to that. Why don't you share with us what that Christmas song is, the funny story, and then perhaps the more meaningful glance that you have at those exact same words now.
Well, yeah, it goes through different phases as serious and humorous, I'll say. We would go to 2 Christmas Eve services every year. When my grandmother was a member of Second Presbyterian Church for years in Union, New Jersey. I was christened there, my brother was christened there, my parents were married there. It has since closed and became another type of denomination.
Okay.
But we would then do ours at Westminster Press in Berkeley Heights. I forget which we did first, depending on the time of the service, I suppose. Okay. And we were always not made, but requested to sit on the front row of every church we've ever been in. And I think that had to do with the behavioral control my mother wanted over us. But either way, we were, this one year, I just remember very, very, I can remember it like it was yesterday, and some memories I don't even have. My grandmother was just going to do a solo, and "O Holy Night" was the carol or hymn that she was going to sing. And I liked the I don't know, it wasn't as subtle as some songs are, but it was pretty strong when you get to some of those parts of the song. Well, this one year my grandmother had fallen and she had both of her knees bandaged up. And Les and I were pretty young at that point. And when she did this solo, because she still did it with her knees bandaged and everything, no one could see it under her choir gown. But when she got to fall on her knees part of the hymn, my brother and I just burst out laughing, getting a big poke from my mother, but we just couldn't help ourselves. So it became a family joke from then on,
right.
As far as when fall on your knees, not so good.
Right, right. So
that's, the strength in that. And again, there's just about all of the words in that hymn just strike home with me, so it just feels, I don't know, it feels comfortable. As well as we, say, pick your favorite one. Well, nothing moves me more every year than singing Silent Night, especially in this sanctuary when everything is off and we just have the candles. So that's like my second runner-up,
right.
Because that's Christmas to me.
Right.
And that's totally kind of an opposite. It's a more calmer.
Right, it's the
Yeah.
opposite
Yeah, so it's-
style.
Yeah, so that's, where it strikes me.
Yeah,
So.
great. Well, thank you. We have a recording of that from back in our pandemic days that we're going to play,
Oh, cool.
share with everyone, Oh Holy Night. And you also mentioned that for you now, that idea of the lordship of Christ and trusting Christ through some of our own journeys that come with stumbles and with falls
Yeah,
has been meaningful to you.
There's different sayings. Obviously, all of us see things online or whatever. But having had my heart stop in 2018 6 times, 3 times were unbelievably moving moments where I stopped for at least a minute or more. I had the same exact experience. Now, I've always had a wonderful faith that said we're going on to bigger and better things and everything is wonderful. And I did. I had that warm, welcoming, loving feeling that just kind of confirmed in me that the Lord is there. He's there ready for us and going. But I do remember when the night before my mother passed away, she looked at me and she couldn't speak much, but she looked at me when she opened her eyes, which was rare, and she says, "I'm not going through the pearly gates." And I said, "Excuse me, explain that a little bit more." And she looked at me in her struggle to speak, and she said, "I'm not going through those pearly gates unless there's someone there to answer a few questions." Having buried her only daughter 9 years before her, and my father very young, I got it. I said, "Okay, hand it to the Lord. Just put it there and let the Lord." And it's amazing. We don't always understand, but even the answer He gives us, maybe not the one we want to hear.
Right.
But it's His answer, so that's what gives me the strength. So.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing part of your story with us, our friend Lee Leland, for being formal, and enjoy this recording of Oh Holy Night.
Great.
The stars are brightly shining. This is the night of our dear Savior's birth. Long lay the world in sin and error pining until He appeared and the soul felt its worth. A thrill of hope, a weary world rejoices, for yonder breaks a new and glorious morn. Fall on your knees, oh hear the angel voices, oh night divine, oh night when Christ was born. Oh night divine, oh night, oh holy night. Truly taught us to love one another. His law is love, and His gospel is peace. Chains He shall break, for the slave is our brother, and in His name all oppression shall cease.